when the weather is fine and you're enjoying those warm, sunny summer days and your garden is full of foliage and flowers. You might find yourself running out of daylight hours, and instead of coming indoors and turning on the lights, why not extend the amount of time you can spend outdoors enjoying all of your hard work? In this video, I'm going to show you how I lit up my own tropical style garden using a set of solar spotlights. I will guide you through every step of the process. So this kit of solar garden spotlights took me less than 20 minutes to install. It cost me less than £40, and the results, which I will share at the end of this video, are so impressive. Now in the kit you get the solar panel, the control unit, these 4 spotlights, the pegs to stick them in the ground, and wall mounting attachments. Now the solar panel is really well made and it's a decent size, so it's going to catch a lot of those sun rays which it's going to turn into energy and power for your garden spotlights. And the cable length that you get between the solar panel and the control unit is really generous, so you can mount the panel in the best spot to get the most amount of sunshine. Now this is the control unit. This is where you're going to change the settings on your lights. This is waterproof and it stays outside. And by settings, what's great about these lights is that they can have 3 different colours: warm white, daylight, or bright white light. And you can also change the brightness from 50% to 100%. And that's great. You can get the perfect settings that you like for your garden. Now the battery's actually in this unit, and the fact that there's screws around the edges tells me that you might be able to change the battery and elongate the life of these spotlights, which is great. Now again, between the control unit and the lights there was a good length of wire, and these LED lights again feel really well made. Now the fact that there is such a good length of wire between the control unit and the lights, and between each light, means that you can place them all around your garden and really get the results that you want. This hood is a nifty design feature, and it's just going to stop any glare getting you in the eyes as you're walking around the garden. Honestly, I can't get enough of how much wire they've given you. So many companies are really tight with the amount of cable they put between each light or between the light and the panels, but this just means that it's going to be so adaptable. And again, these pegs. There's 1 there for the solar panel and then 4 for the solar garden spotlights. And this bag, as I said, is the attachment, but it also includes the screws and the wall plugs, so there is nothing more you need to buy. As I said, this solar panel is a fantastic size and the build quality is really good too. You can mount it using this peg to put it into the ground in your garden, or perhaps in a window box or in a pot if you have a sunny spot. But for me, the best spot in my garden is to wall mount it or mount it onto a post. This spot gets so much sunlight even in the depths of winter, and the fact that the solar panel can pivot is great. It means that I can maximise the amount of sunlight hours this panel is going to get, and the brightness of my lights will be so much better because the battery is going to charge. Now a quick tip, when mounting things into wood, always pre-drill a pilot hole. That's just using a narrow drill bit to drill a starter hole into the wood. This way, when you're screwing in anything into wood, it helps prevent the wood from splitting and cracking open. So now I get to make use of that generous length of cable that's given to us between the solar panel and the controller unit. The solar panel is mounted at the sunniest end of my garden, and the control unit is as close to my house as possible. I've just got it running along a bed under this gravel path, so I just tuck it under the weed membrane and then up into the control box. And you would never even know it's there. Another feature about these lights that I love that makes the installation so much easier is the fact that the cable between the solar panel, the controller and the lights has a connector that can come apart, and it just stops you getting everything tangled up during the installation. But just be aware that this orange or red little rubber ring on the connection has a tendency to pop off, and it's this that's going to keep the connection waterproof when you put everything back together. So just make sure that's there when you reconnect your lights or the solar panel. So with the control box mounted on a wooden post at one end of my garden, we can have a look at the lights. So one green light here indicates it's on half brightness setting. And by pressing this top rubber button, I've put it on the full brightness setting. And I like having the adaptability with brightness because you can set everything up just how you want it to be. Now the other set of lights are battery charge indicators, which tell you how charged your battery is. And you can see now mine is at 100%. And if you wonder whether your battery is charging or not, there is actually a light, this little red light on the panel, that tells you the solar panel is getting sunlight and it is putting charge into the battery. If your solar panel is in full light, but the little red LED isn't lit up to say that the battery is charging, I would just double check this connection and make sure that everything is connected properly. So with my solar panel and the control unit mounted and connected, I'm ready to start connecting the solar spotlights to this output wire. It's not just the solar panel and the control unit that have a really good build quality. These lights feel really well made too, and the attachments give you such adaptability for where you're going to install them in your garden. This attachment enables you to mount them onto a fence or walls. You just fix the hole on the bottom here through the hole at the top of this attachment, and you can see the screw holes to then attach this to the wall. And as I said, the screws and the wall plugs are all included in the kit, so there's nothing else you have to go and get. The other option is to use the pegs to place your spotlights into the ground if you're looking to shine light up onto something. So in my case, I'm going to be up lighting the plants in my garden. So I'm going to use the pegs in combination with these adapters. Now, a quick tip I want to give you about the installation of these spotlights is that on this attachment, there is a little metal nut that has a tendency to drop out and go run around. So when you are putting your lights onto this attachment, just make sure you keep an eye on this metal nut, because if you lose it, you're not going to be able to screw the light on properly. And once you've mounted the spotlights onto the pegs or onto the wall, it's the fun part. Just place them where you want them in your garden. So I have one shining over the area that the dog uses in the garden. This one, which hopefully will light up my fascia and the garden path. Then just beyond that is another, which is shining directly up onto the canopy of the garden, this roost tree in the middle. I'm hoping this is going to look fantastic when night falls. And finally, temporarily, I have a wire crossing the path which I will bury if the light looks right. I have this one shining solar light up onto the jungle border, which should look, fingers crossed, fantastic. Now it's just time to wait for night to come. Wow, what more can I say? I am so pleased with how effective these solar garden spotlights have been. I've had so many rubbish solar lights in the past, but these far surpass anything else I've had before. So this first light is lighting up the dog's side of the garden, and the effect of it shining across the gravel and up onto the wall is beautiful. The second light lights up the narrow garden path and that fascia beautifully. The third light, shining up through the succulents, was a happy accident, but looks so architectural and interesting. But all the light that passes through the succulents shines up into the canopy of my roost tree. This looks stunning. I absolutely love the leaves of a roost tree, and the way the light catches the silvery underside of the foliage just looks beautiful, and it really helps add height to the garden, even after sunset. I find that with the garden lit up, I notice details that I don't even see in daylight. The textures of the underside of the leaves and the way it's catching the Spanish moss or Tillandsia that's draped over the canopy is just really, really beautiful. And all of those bromeliads that I have mounted on the tree, with their semi-translucent leaves, are just letting light pass through and it's illuminating all of the details on the foliage. Look at the speckles on that Bilbergia. And the fourth solar spotlight in this set is casting light all the way across into the jungle border of my garden. And the way it's picking up the pink flowers of the Geranium palmatum is beautiful. I love sitting and watching the moths and nighttime pollinators visit the flowers after dusk, which is something I just haven't been able to do before. Because I've mounted my solar spotlights at ground level and they are shining their light up, they are catching the underside of all of the leaves of my Schefflera and Fatsia polycarpa, and they're making this whole jungle border look really architectural at night. And as I said before, the details and the shapes and the shades of the leaves you see under spotlight after the sun has set is just beautiful, and you see your garden literally in a whole new light. I just can't emphasize enough how pleased I am that I took the time and effort to light up my garden. And I say time and effort. Using this set of lights, it was so easy, and I was set up in less than 20 minutes. Now you might have noticed a couple of other solar lights in my garden, like this flickering torch. Now this I've had for 4 years, and it was originally a set of 4, and now only 1 is left working. But if you like it, I will link to something similar in the description below. And I've also got these fairy lights, which is something that my wife absolutely loves, and I'm never sure about them when I'm installing them, but they do really add to the look of the garden as a whole. So I will also include a link to these in the description of the video. Hopefully, if you haven't already lit your garden, maybe you'll try using solar spotlights, which are energy efficient, affordable, and easy to install, so that you can go out and enjoy your garden after dark as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.